Well, we're here. Welcome back to the Probably Bullshit podcast. Tough week for us Denver Bronco fans. We're going to get right into it today, guys. Before I do get into it, thank you for everybody for listening, everybody tuning in to check out whatever type of dumbass conversation I got going on. I appreciate everybody listening up. I'm having a lot of fun doing this shit, and I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. So, fuck yeah, we're in this. But with all that positivity aside, time for negativity. Denver Broncos, NFL playoffs, AFC championship game. Tough one. Tough one. No complaints. Overall, I see a lot of people complaining about, oh, well, if the Broncos did this, and it's Broncos fans complaining about, like, not even complaining, but maybe just, like, making excuses about, like, oh, well, because we didn't have Bo Nix, we didn't do this, and because of the weather, and blah, 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 bad calls. You gotta stop. You gotta stop. I get it. You got to stop, because it's the exact same way that the Bills fans sounded last week, and as coming out as the winner of that, you look at these guys and you're like, dude, shut up. That's football. A bad call is football. You want to say, no, it's not, fix the refs or whatever. People have been saying that for decades, that bad calls or blown games or whatever. It's football. So whether or not you want to say that, oh, that wasn't a fumble, it was an interception referring to the Buffalo game or whatever it is, it's football. No complaints. Congrats to the Patriots. No excuses. Better team based solely on score. And we move on. To be honest, when the season started, I don't think I ever really expected the Broncos to get this far. I definitely had high hopes making the playoffs for sure. But I didn't expect the 1 seed. And then I guess as the year went on, my expectations went higher. Sorry. But yeah, as the year went on, my expectations got higher and higher. As they should. I mean, you look at what everything the Broncos were doing, going through, getting into that 1 seed, fighting for it later on in the season. Close games all throughout the season, and people want to give them this big idea of like, oh, the biggest fraud number 1 seed in AFC history, whatever you want to say. But at the end of the day, wins give you those things, and it's like, oh yeah, close wins because of referee calls or whatever. Fuck off. A win's a win. Same way with the Patriots. A win's a win. Congrats to the Patriots. They're going to the Super Bowl. I've been saying this for a while too. Like, I really feel like the Broncos have the entire season, only ever played to the level of their opponent. And I've said this to so many people after every single game or during every single game, that for the most part, the Broncos will play a great team like the Buffalo Bills, obviously, you see in the playoffs. Great team in Buffalo. Solid team, solid quarterback. I mean, sure, you want to give criticism to Josh Allen for what the performance he had in that game. Sure, whatever. But overall, fucking badass quarterback. Badass team to go up against, and they get the job done. Close game, but they get the job done. Yet, that same Broncos team then goes not much far before against the Raiders, who were arguably the worst team in the NFL. And you barely beat the fucking Raiders. They play to the level of their competition. No, barely any more, barely any less. That's it. I've said this forever. This Broncos team could play against, in my opinion, people are going to be like, fuck no, you're crazy, whatever. This Broncos team this year could have played against like prime Tom Brady and the Patriots and made it a close game. Not saying they would have won, not saying they would have beat him. Who knows? But it would have been a close-ass game. And then you get this same Broncos team who plays against fucking Kansas City with like 0 starters, or Chargers with 0 starters. I mean, they play the Chargers or even Kansas City when they didn't have Mahomes. And you're barely winning these games. Barely. And sure, you can say, well, yeah, no shit, it's because Sean Payton is holding back his playbook for so-and-so, whatever you want to say. But at the end of the day, the result is all that matters. And the Broncos are barely getting away with these. So, for the most part, that's how the game goes. Obviously, the weather fucked up a lot of shit for both teams. It became a huge defensive game for the most part. Once that storm rolls in, you literally see almost neither team really do anything. It just becomes a big game of 3 and outs, couple first downs here and there. But yeah, that weather's going to do that to anybody. You want to say, oh, like the Broncos are prepared for that, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, it's not like the Broncos have been practicing in this type of weather recently. This was like one of the first real weather challenges the Broncos have probably seen. I don't know what the fucking weather's been like out in New England. Maybe New England's been practicing more in some weather like this, so they were more prepared and they get the job done. But yeah, sure, everybody can hate on Sean Payton going for it on fourth down earlier in that game instead of taking that 3 points. That 3 points puts you at 10-10. Well, actually, no, you go up by 10, and then obviously if the rest of the game played out the same way it did, then you go 10-10, overtime, whatever. But that's woulda, coulda, shoulda. That's if the Broncos would have done this, they would have won. Yeah, if my aunt had fucking balls, she'd be my uncle. So, no complaints. Broncos are out. Made it to the Final Four. Great fucking year. I said it on a previous podcast that they'd be in the championship. Fuck, I jinxed myself. So, it is what it is. On to next season. All I'm saying is last time the Patriots and the Seahawks went to the Super Bowl, the Broncos won it the year after. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Whatever. So, Broncos, Super Bowl next year. Lock it in. Place it. DraftKings. Sponsored by DraftKings. Just kidding. No, it's not. I wish. We move on. UFC 324 was this weekend, and fuck, was it a pretty good card. Pretty good card when it comes to what we got out of the new Paramount deal. A new kind of birth, new era of the UFC, going from basically being just like VHS back in, like 93? 1993, being just VHSs, to then going on to Spike TV, Fox, ESPN, and now here we are on Paramount Plus. Overall, people might have whatever ideas they want to say about Paramount and why it fucked up on all the commercials and blah, 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 and oh, they hated the amount of ads and missed the walkouts, whatever. But overall, for what you're getting, for the product you're getting at $9 a month, fucking great. You get what you pay for, and I think we got more than what we paid for the most part. I mean, I think when you added up the price of an entire year of Paramount is just a little bit more than one pay-per-view would have been. One pay-per-view, and now you're getting, 13, 12, 13, somewhere around there. I say pay-per-view, but I mean numbered events. That's what we're going to call them now, is numbered events. People are still going to call them fucking pay-per-views. The same way people still call X Twitter. It's always going to be Twitter. These are always going to be pay-per-views. Fuck off. So, yeah, for the most part, great quality for what you get. I want to say, honestly, the video, everything was pretty good for the most part. Every once in a while, I had a couple times where it froze on me, but I really think it's just because my Wi-Fi is dog shit. But yeah, I liked it for the most part. It was good for the price. They even give you that multi-view potential. I don't know. I think a lot of people did not know about this, but if you go and you're watching Paramount, you throw on the main event or whatever, they have the Paramount English, Espanol, Portuguese, whatever the fuck it is. And then if you also go on there, it's also going to give you a recommendation of the multi-view potential. And I really liked that for the most part, but I didn't like the views that they gave you. Here, I was thinking you'd be able to kind of pick, like if ever you were watching on any other streaming app and you go to watch like a football game, like it's NFL Sunday and there's a shit ton of games on, and you can go like multi-view. You can sometimes pick what games you want to watch. Hey, I want the Steelers versus the Ravens, and then I want the Broncos versus the Cowboys, and like you can pick the games that you want. I thought this is what Paramount would do for the most part, is be able to pick the angles you want, because there's a shit ton of cameras always on every single UFC fight. Every single fight is going to have a shit ton of angles. They even have the referee camera angles now too, which I don't know where the fuck that's coming from, because I feel like that was always a PFL thing or a Bellator thing for the longest time, and now the UFC is adopting it. I like it for the most part, but you never see them. You'll every card maybe you'll see 2 replays of a referee's camera POV, and it's badass. I like it. So I wish they were able to maybe do that. I don't know if you can live stream those. I don't know what the fucking technology's like there. It must be pretty good, but either way, the multi-view worked, and that's great. That's already potential, and it'll get better and better as time goes on. Obviously, it was just Paramount probably doing a little bit of testing to see how that worked, and then as time goes on, you'll be able to see more than just 2 different camera angles and the coach's corners or something like that. Maybe you'll be able to get a no commentary version, which I know a lot of people are really advising or kind of fighting for, that they want this no commentary version. They're either you're sick of DC, you're sick of Joe Rogan. No one's really sick of John Anik. I don't think I've ever seen any John Anik flack. Fuck. But yeah, a lot of people want to watch the fights no commentary. I get it, that it keeps you from being biased or being kind of pulled in any way of wherever the commentary may be going. Maybe they're fucking glazing on some certain fighter that you don't think maybe is even winning as much as they say they are, but it pulls the masses to kind of feel like, oh yeah, that guy's winning when he's really not. Who knows? Either way, whatever your reason may be for it, a lot of people want that no commentary version. That gives you the opportunity, if you could do that, through the multi-view on Paramount. But yeah, Paramount for the most part, fucking solid. It didn't freeze terribly like that, like people were talking about. Yeah, there was ads during a lot of walkouts, especially even during the main card. A lot of commercials were going over walkouts. You couldn't even see many walkouts. Main event got them, was fine. I want to say even co-main was fine. I don't remember if I saw Song Yadong's walkout, but O'Malley got his walkout. Gaethje and Pimblett, you saw their walkouts all streamed, so that was fine. But yeah, I mean, overall, it's fucking $8.99 a month. Dana White was saying the same thing in the post-fight press conference. It's $8.99 a month. They got to get their fucking money's worth somewhere. You know what I mean? Whereas before they were making $90 per person watching this shit. Per screen, whatever you want to say. So it makes sense from a business standpoint. Whether you like it or not, you're getting a fucking better deal. Relax. And even aside from that, yesterday I was watching a bunch of the past fight library. The UFC, or the Paramount, has so much of the UFC on there now. No need for any type of fight pass where you'd have to go there to watch all the previous fights. It's legit. I was watching fucking 24-year-old Vitor Belfort versus Chuck Liddell at UFC 35 last night. Solid. It's honestly badass to see that you can have that type of library and just past media of past fights all going throughout years and years. It even separates them by fighter. You can you'll scroll through and you can click on, all right, John Jones, and I can watch fucking every John Jones fight in the UFC. I can scroll through and it'll be like, let's watch fight nights, and I'll go through every fight night, and then you can click on the fight night, and you can either watch the entirety of it, the entire fight night, the 3 hours of whatever it was, 5 hours from prelims to main card, or you can even click on, I don't know, UFC Vegas 14, whatever the fuck you want to say, whatever fight night Vegas fight it was, and click through the fights that are in there and watch them specifically, each 25, 15-minute fight that there is. That's sick. It's badass. I like being able to do that. You don't need the fight pass to do that anymore. And I was texting in my my group chat with some of my friends as well, talking about the ability to already watch past fights on demand. So I'm in the middle of watching, I don't even remember what fight it was. I don't know. I disregard, whatever. I was in the middle of watching some fight yesterday. And as I'm watching these fights, Saturday night. As I'm watching these fights, I go to scroll to get into that multi-view version, and it's already showing past fights. It was already showing me Ty Miller versus Adam Fugit. It already had showed me the ability to go rewatch and replay. Who else was on there? It was, I don't know. You get what I'm saying. Hokit versus Freeman. It already had that section of their fight throughout this entire broadcast clipped, so I can go back and watch it rather than have to fucking rewind completely. Past fights are already clipped for you to watch on there. On ESPN, that shit took forever. Let's say I bought the preview, or I bought the pay-per-view on ESPN, and I turn it on. Let's say I got in kind of late, and I turn it on, and it's already on the second fight of the main event, or the main card. If I want to go back to watch a prelim fight that was on this card, I got to rewind the entire way. It's not going to give you that access, or at least I don't remember it ever doing that for me. I never got that. So the ability to kind of just go back and get free access to fights, it even gives you highlights. It'll tell you oh, here's this clip of Ty Miller finishing whoever fighter, or Hokit finishing Freeman, whatever. I'm using these fucking names again, but you get what I'm saying. I think the UFC did that with, or not the UFC, the ESPN did that with highlights before, and that was pretty dope. But the ability to watch in general, to go back, badass. Overall, Paramount, solid. The new fight bonuses, another thing I wanted to go over when it comes to this card. I think overall, fucking great. I heard some people already arguing about like, oh, it's still not enough money for the fighters. It's a fucking plus. This is the beginning of the year. These fighters are probably, especially all the champions, are probably still going to get some type of like new contract negotiations, because before these guys were getting pay-per-view points, obviously I don't believe that Paddy Pimblett or Justin Gaethje were getting pay-per-view points because they weren't current champions, and that's what I've always known to be the way that the contracts flow, is current champions get pay-per-view points. So in this case, both of them fighting for an interim title, an interim vacant title, neither of them is getting pay-per-view points, so it doesn't really matter. Whereas this next upcoming week is UFC 325, and you have Alexander Volkanovski fighting, who is the current champion. So, current champion, he would be getting pay-per-view points on his headline here, but he's not, because there's no pay-per-view anymore. So I'm assuming there's going to be some type of way to figure that out on whether or not, how they're going to make up the extra whatever amount. Let's say he gets $1 per pay-per-view and there's 500,000 pay-per-view buys, then he gets an extra $500,000 check. You know what I mean? So that's an extra I'm saying these random numbers, but I say all that to say that like the champions are missing out on pay-per-view money, which is where a lot of people made fucking stupid money back in the day. And this is, I think even Rampage Jackson said this one time on a podcast, were saying that his first fight against Chuck Liddell in the UFC, he made $7 million based solely off of pay-per-view points. His pay was probably like fucking, back then, maybe like 500 fight, 500 to show. I'm guessing. I have no clue. Maybe even more. So that's $1 million for him to win. And then he gets an extra $6 million in pay-per-view points. That's fucking ridiculous. That's insane. So of course these fighters are probably like, yo, what the fuck? How am I going to get paid my extra money that I would have been making with pay-per-view? So they're going to get that figured out. This was just the first card, obviously. So you got to get it figured out for sure. I'm in no way defending the UFC. I do think they still underpay a lot of their top rated fighters for the most part, but it's progress, and at least that's fucking progress that we haven't seen over the past 3, 4, or 5 years in fighter pay, as far as I'm concerned. Because these new bonuses, $25,000 bonus for every finish, whether it's a submission, a KO, TKO. I'm assuming they'll probably give you some type of that same $25,000 bonus if you're getting like a doctor stoppage, or maybe even a TKO by like the guy couldn't get off the stool after round 2 or whatever. They'll probably still give you that $25K bonus, even though Daniel would probably be fucking pissed to have to pay that out to you. But yeah, they're probably doing that still, as well as $100,000 now for any type of performance, KO or fight of the night. Whereas before it was 50, so you're doubling that there already. So 100K now for all of the bonuses, performance bonuses, whatever, and $25,000 for all finishes. Definitely shows that the fighters are going to go harder now, knowing that before, obviously, some prelim fighter, some random fucking dude opening the early prelims, he gets a fucking sick KO. He's probably still not going to get fight of the night, or not fight of the night, but KO of the night, because he knows there's so much more to go on. And if a KO that maybe was a little bit more lackluster was on the main card, it probably will get leaned towards getting that bonus rather than that early prelim dude would get, you know? So now at least this gives that fucking prelim guy who's making fucking 15 to show, 15 to win, 30,000 total right there, right? He's getting the opportunity to make for sure at least 25, an extra 25 there, which is basically double his fucking pay. I think in the UFC it is like 12 to show, 12 to win is what the minimum contract is. 12 or 15, somewhere around there. But yeah, so now you're getting the opportunity to almost fucking double your money if you're getting just a finish in general. So these fucking, you see those memes all the time of all these like boring ass fights, and it's like, okay, your average UFC headline pay-per-view or whatever, and it's a fucking boring ass fight like fill in the blank. I don't know, Hamzat versus Dricus, Islam versus JDM, or Valentina versus Weili, which I don't think are boring fights. I think those are fucking dominant executions. But to the average eye, you watch that and think this is fucking boring because these guys aren't taking each other's head off. So now you have the opportunity on these more fucking interesting fights where there's always prelims with bangers because these guys are way newer, way more fresh to the fucking organization. So you're going to see these mismatches. You're going to see the mismatch where you have some random dude who has no business fighting the guy that he's fighting, and he puts that motherfucker to sleep quick. Now there's opportunity for that guy to get some type of fucking money incentive rather than just his normal win bonus there. He's getting more opportunity there. So pretty badass. Giving these lower card level fighters an opportunity to make some more fucking money. Imagine that. Imagine you're, I don't know, prelims and you're making 20 to show, 20 to win, and then they give you an extra 100K for a fucking KO of the night or something. That's fucking insane. That's awesome. That'd be badass for these fighters. Again, when it comes to the higher class fighters, like the greatest, the Volks, the fucking Hamzats, Alex Pereira's, honestly, I still think they're underpaid when it comes to $7.7 billion that the UFC is getting from Paramount to then turn around and only give like 100K. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's a fuck ton of money, but percentage-wise, I don't know. Anyways, we move on. First off, we'll start with a couple fights that did not happen on this card. So I gotta kind of fucking run through this. I feel like I spent a lot of time on those first two things, but got a lot to cover today, guys. So first thing was that Cameron Smotherman fight getting canceled versus Ricky Tercios. I get it was canceled over the weight cut. I'm assuming you guys probably all saw it. I know a lot of people who don't even really follow UFC were talking to me about it, saying, "Oh, I saw that fucking guy pass out at weigh-ins or whatever." And it does look scary. It looks really bad for the organization for weight cutting. From what I saw Smotherman put out a video later on just claiming that he's fine. You know, that his dehydration kind of caused him to faint. It wasn't his worst weight cut. He felt like he was okay. He would have been good to continue and fight. But when it comes to what the athletic commission is going to do, they see that and they're like, fuck no, dude, we can't have this on our hands. Let's say you go put Smotherman into the fight, they let that fight still go on, and Smotherman gets fucking annihilated and like has terrible brain damage or whatever from a bad concussion. It's almost like it's on them. You know, it's on the Nevada State Athletic Commission that they allowed that fight to happen after seeing him faint and fucking faceplant on the stage at weigh-ins. Now, everybody talks, hey, like, let's get rid of weight cut. We need to get rid of weight cuts. The UFC, weight cutting is a problem. It's a problem. It is, but you're not going to solve it. I'm going to tell you why I think, and this is just my fucking opinion, no expert opinion, but based on what I see out of these UFC fighters, everybody talks about how, why don't we go to fucking what ONE FC is doing and do their hydration clause or hydration tests to make sure that these guys are on it. Demetrius Johnson talked about it as well in an interview. He's like, dude, I fought for ONE FC. He's like, I know a lot of guys who have found a way to fucking bypass that whole hydration test and still cut just as much weight as these UFC guys are going. You're not going to get past weight cutting. Weight cutting is part of the sport, sadly, and it's always going to fucking be unless you can get every single person, not a single soul left, to stop cutting weight as heavily as they do. Because everybody cuts weight because the other guys around them are cutting weight. You know, so like it was the same thing when I was wrestling in high school. Everybody cuts weight because everybody cuts weight. And it's not like, oh, it's what you do. It's just what you do to get the advantage over your opponents. And obviously, high school fucking wrestling is a way different standard than the world level peak of the peak of UFC competition. Holy fuck. But it's kind of, you get what I'm saying. So in wrestling, everybody's cutting weight because they want the advantage of being able to go down because the guys above them are always cutting down into their weight class, you know? So let's say there's a guy who he walks around at 170 pounds, right? you would think, all right, why don't you just fight at, or why don't you just wrestle at 160s or whatever? That's not a big weight cut. You'll probably just lose the 10 pounds as season goes on, and it'll just fall off anyways. Why not just wrestle at 160? It's like, sure, you could do that, but know that there's going to be a lot of guys who usually walk around at 190, fucking at the higher level, 200, and those guys are cutting weight way harder to get down to that 170 weight class because they're avoiding guys who walk around at fucking 230 who are cutting down to make that 200, whatever. I'm just naming it. 200 is not a fucking weight class. But when it comes to the UFC, same thing. You're going to see a Paddy Pimblett who fucking walks around at 200 pounds. He's not going to fight at 185. He's not going to fight at light heavyweight. He's too fucking small. Look at the 185ers. You think Khamzat Chimaev and Paddy Pimblett should be in the same weight class because Paddy kind of walks around the same weight that Khamzat once weighs in at? And Khamzat weighs 185 for fucking 5 minutes of the year. That's it. That's the thing. Because Khamzat's also cutting that weight to get down so that he doesn't have to fight at light heavyweight. Which, who knows, he might. That's a bad example because that guy's a fucking freak of nature. But everybody cuts weight because everybody cuts weight. If you don't cut weight, and let's say you walk around at 185 and you just say, fuck it, I'm just going to fight at this normal weight, at my normal weight of middleweight, 185, you're going to have the guys who walk around at 220, 230 that cut down to 185 and are much stronger, much bigger than you fighting at your weight class. Why? Because you're going to walk in that fucking cage at 185 as normal, as you normally do. That's your walk around weight. Whereas your opponent that you just fucking signed the contract at, or to fight, is going to walk into that cage at 210, 220. Alex Pereira said a couple times now that when he fought at 185, that motherfucker walked in the cage at sometimes 220, like around there. That's insane. Good fucking luck. I don't care how elite you think you are. You have some elite motherfucker across the ring from you who weighs 40 pounds, has 40 pounds on you. Good luck. So the only way you get rid of weight cutting is by getting every single person to agree that they're not going to cut that much weight and they're just going to fight at their walk around weight. Good fucking luck, because you get everybody does it. You're going to have that one guy who thinks, oh shit, well now since everybody's fighting at this weight class, maybe I should cut down a little bit and I could take out those guys because I'm way bigger than the guys lower than me. And then you do that, and then the guys that you just cut down and took their fucking spot and you started whooping their asses, they're going to be like, fuck, there's this guy that moved down and he is fucking up everybody at my weight class. I could probably do the same, and he'll move down and fuck up the people at his weight class. Ideally, not all the time, but then you restart the fucking whole thing up again. It's greed. Everybody wants to be able to have the best advantage. And I guess it's not even greed, really, but as you should. You should want to have the best advantage. At this fucking level, it's a game of inches. Any type of advantage you can have, you're gonna take. And most guys do that by cutting the fucking weight. So, weight cutting sucks. You're not gonna get rid of it, though. That's my take on it. We move on. All right. Kayla Harrison versus Amanda Nunes gets canceled. That fight doesn't happen on UFC 324. Don't rebook either of them for anything else. I know a lot of people were saying, well, fuck, let Amanda just fight Norma Dumont, or let her fight Juliana Pena for the rematch, whatever. No, we don't fucking need this. To be honest, in my opinion, Amanda shouldn't have came back anyways. I don't think Amanda has any business really being in this weight class anymore because you've done it all. You're the greatest woman of all time, greatest woman fighter of all time. What is there for you? Okay, I ask you, like you guys are, this listener, like you are Amanda Nunes. Okay, you come back, you win the title. Let's go through all the scenarios. Amanda, what do you expect to happen? Okay, you come back, you win the title. Let's say it's a close one, and you get a fucking rematch against Kayla Harrison because you took it off her the first time. And you win that too. Okay, then you beat Kayla Harrison twice. Who else for you, Amanda? Retire. So then you retire again. Or let's say you come in, you beat her once, smoke her. There's no one else for you. You just retire again. Or you come back, third option, third fucking possibility. You come back against Kayla Harrison and Kayla Harrison fucking smokes you. Well, obviously I can't hang at this division. And if you're Amanda Nunes, you think you're going to be fucking fighting for Anything else than a title? No. You're the greatest of all time. So you come in, you lose to Kayla, you retire. Anyways, at the end of the day, you coming back, just the result of you coming back is just you retiring again pretty fucking soon. Why are these retired fighters coming back so much? I get it when it's like, hey, this is all they've done for their entire lives. Like, you kind of probably have like some type of identity crisis. But if you know that that's what you're probably going to end up with, and not because obviously you don't know until you know, but based on what you see out of all these other fighters, all these fighters retire and then they want to come back immediately. Fucking Dustin Poirier is already talking about like, oh, fuck, like, I see this and I know I can hang with these guys and I could get the job done. I could beat these guys. It makes me kind of want to come back. Dude, stay out. Stay out. If you felt that way, why'd you retire? Sure, you probably have this idea of, oh, I will only want to fight legends, fight for a title or whatever. And if once that's out of the picture for you, then it's like, all right, well, if it's not for title contention, if I'm not on a title run, then I'm out. Stay out. Stay out. I say that to fucking Jorge Masvidal, who said he wants to come back for a Conor McGregor fight at the White House. Bro, stay the fuck out. You're retired, you're good, whatever. You're fine. You're done. Amanda Nunes, you retired, stay out. Henry Cejudo fucking should have stayed out. Look what Henry did with his career. Motherfucker retired double champ. Great. One of the best combat athletes of all time, Olympic gold medalist, whatever. One of the best combat athletes of all time. Retires on top, as he should have. And he comes back, and what happens? Fucking 4-fight losing streak? That's insane. Stay the fuck out. Should have stayed out. Because now everybody talks about Henry like he's fucking washed and his legacy is just ruined. Could have retired on top, brother. I mean, people give Khabib fucking flack for it, but look at the way he went out. Yeah, maybe he didn't face some of the heavier competition that was still coming in, as in like Charles Oliveira or some other guys. Name another, maybe the whole Tony instance too, but retired on top. You'll never see Khabib having to come back and fight some fucking other guy and then go on some crazy losing streak because he stays out. That's the way you do it. I know then you get all these questions of what if, but just stay out. Fuck it. Who cares about what if? Stay out. Amanda and Kayla, save that fight for the White House. If you're gonna be back, Amanda, you shouldn't fight anywhere besides for the title against Kayla. Stay out. Yeah, I don't know. I get really fucking heated when I just see so many of these fighters that retire and then they say they want to come back and then they're retired and then they come back. Fucking, how many times do people retire? Like, dude, just say you're gonna go on. You're gonna take a break if you're just gonna take a break. Like Jalen Turner says he's retired and then he's fucking back a year later. Like, just say you were taking a break, brother. You're not retiring. It's ridiculous. We move on to actual fights that did happen. I'm not going to go over every single one of the prelim fights, but I do want to get into it a little bit. So first one, Hokett versus Freeman. This one was a pretty good fight, I think, for Hokett. Josh Hokett definitely kind of showed some good grappling. Not just a bunch of stand and bang bullshit that you get from these heavyweights. I feel like for the most part in heavyweights, aside from like the top 5 guys, maybe even top like 4 guys, if I looked at the rankings and pulled it up, majority of these guys can beat anybody. They can all beat each other on any given day if they land that fucking big punch. So this was kind of cool to see a different version of these heavyweights that we're not really used to in Josh Hokett really just putting more than just his striking together, you know what I mean? Made it easier for everybody to kind of see a real difference in the heavyweights. When it comes to these heavyweights, like, if you have a fucking great wrestling, if you can get some good wrestling going, you're gonna be in the top 5. You're gonna be in the top 10, at least. Majority of these guys can't wrestle like that. If you can get a good ass wrestler in there who can maybe avoid some striking, easier said than done, I know, but avoid some real striking and get a good wrestling base in you, you're gonna win these fights. You can hang on a fucking big ass heavyweight, you'll probably beat him. You'll probably beat majority of them. You know what I mean? So I just think it's pretty good to see that from Hokett. Thank you for your service to Carl Winslow, fucking Freeman. Dude's an ex-Marine. Thank you for that one. But who's next for Hoke? I definitely think he's probably ready for top 15 now. I know he's already calling out Cortez Acosta. He doesn't want that fight yet. I mean, I know he probably does. His ego, everything that motherfucker is saying on the mic, he wants that fight. But the UFC's not going to give it to him anytime soon. Just because you have some type of guy that has some type of star power in Hoke, why immediately rush this guy into some insane fucking... What is Cortez? Cortez is ranked number 5. You don't need to put Hoke up in top 5 already. You could definitely give him someone like, I don't know, maybe a better wrestler as well. You give him like a Shamil. That's number 11. You can... I was going to say Teixeira, but Teixeira's booked for this weekend. Walter Walker, good wrestling there. Good grappling. That might be kind of tough. That might be one where maybe Walter Walker takes his fucking ankle home with him. So maybe not. But either way, top 15 definitely next should be for Hoke after 2-3 fights in the UFC already. Good fight. We move on. Alex Perez KOs Charles Johnson. Solid. Alex Perez is honestly a solid fighter. I've been doing a little bit more insight on these fights. I know I always do these breakdowns with Omar, Victor, Sam, whoever it is that I have on the pod, to just kind of bullshit. And it's a lot more like just friendly banter, just fucking around, talking shit about just how do we think these fights are going to go. But I kind of went through a little bit more insight to try and give like a good breakdown on a lot of this shit. And I hope I can do that more forward. It's kind of fucking hard to do that with like a group of guys who are just like, nah, that dude's fucking trash. And it's like, which is fun too. I like those types of episodes too. Sorry to any fighters or whatever who may or may not ever listen to this podcast and think that we're being disrespectful. My bad. Either way, Alex Perez, solid fighter. He's been winning a lot of his fights and then he ends up losing. So when you look at it, like Alex Perez is losing to fucking big guys or to big stars. So, but losses are losses. So you look at it as if he's terrible, like the guy sucks. He doesn't. I mean, some of his losses are to fucking solid guys. He lost to Figgy back when Figgy was at 125, who was the former champion. Lost to Pantoja, who was also the former champion. A lot think he should be still current champion and can be if they rebook that fucking Van fight. And then was fighting even Tatsuro Taira, who probably fights for the title next. If not Pantoja, depending on that fucking rehab, probably fights, or he fought Taira, whoops Taira's ass for the most part, and then just blows his fucking knee out and loses that fight. So for the most part, Perez is still a solid fighter. Not sure where Charles Johnson goes from here. Charles Johnson is, I think, the only person to hold a win and a KO at that over the current champion in Joshua Van. So, I don't know. Charles Johnson's fucking hair lost him that fight, if you ask me. Anyways, we move on. Nikita Krylov versus Bukauskas. This was a good example of kind of the bonus incentive that's working these days. With like 3 fucking seconds left in that fight, Krylov gets the finish. With 3 seconds left, you get an extra $25,000 for a finish. Badass. I really think a lot of these guys, when you're in that fight like Krylov was in that same situation, you find yourself winning and you almost kind of coast. You take off the third round or the last few minute of the fight, 10 seconds even. You take off and you're just like, hey, I fucking won this fight. I'm going to just circle, avoid it. I don't need to fucking engage with Bukauskas, who's a fucking motherfucker who cracks people. So you don't chase the finish. Whereas here, I really think Krylov probably thought, yo, here's an opportunity to finish this motherfucker. Let's do it for an extra $25,000, and he gets the job done with 3 seconds left. Overall, I think Krylov was a better fighter. Definitely just kind of chinny. Was able to kind of weather that storm of Bukauskas, who fucking cracks, like I said. But it was an example of just the better fighter fighting someone who swings and has a shit ton of power in their hands. But the overall round fighter won. Moving on. Gutierrez versus Puliev. Good fight. Honestly, I think it was a good example, or it was a good showing for Gutierrez, but also a bad one, if that makes sense. Good for him because now he gets to kind of watch a little bit more tape on himself. He learns more about himself to see what type of fighter he is, how he fares in these 3 fights in going the full 15 minutes to test his stamina, rather than getting all these fucking quick KOs that he's been getting. But it's also bad because now there's a little bit more film out there for you, or on you, for these upcoming guys that you're going to fight afterwards. So with more film on you, it makes you kind of less scary for like future matchmaking. I bet a lot of people before were like, yo, there's not enough film on this guy. They're probably getting offered to fight Atiba Gutierrez, and they're like, fuck that. That dude's a murderer. Whereas in this fight, he looks a lot more human and makes other people more okay with taking that fight, and kind of seeing some more holes in his stand-up to be able to take on that fight and have more confidence in their ability to beat Gutierrez. Gutierrez is fucking 23 years old. That's insane. The motherfucker's younger than me and looks like a Greek god chiseled from marble. So that's tough. Anyways, good fight for Gutierrez. Just got to definitely make some more changes, give him the ability to not count on his early KOs because it's not always going to be there. Kind of shows him that. Still a young guy. I think his stamina might be a problem, especially with the fucking build that guy has. Anybody who's swole and crazily fucking jacked like that is not going to have the best stamina in the world. So it's like not possible. You guys ever see someone in the gym who's repping 315, fucking squatting 600 pounds for reps? These motherfuckers, for the most part, are stronger than shit. Have them walk up a couple flights of stairs, they're going to be huffing and puffing. With that build, the stamina takes a hit. And I think that's how Gutierrez kind of going with that fucking build. The dudes, you can't. I don't know. I just don't know how much more stamina. I don't think his stamina was terrible in this fight, but definitely when you're going to get someone who's pushing the pace on you more than Puliev was in your later fights, you're going to get your stamina drained way faster. But what's next for him? I think probably better you give him like some type of a solid vet, maybe, that's a good kickboxer. That'd be all right. I think he's ready to kind of get a bigger test now. Sam was saying on our past podcast as well that fucking Dana White should be in jail for this matchmaking, and I agreed for the most part. Obviously, the outcome wasn't there in this fight. You didn't get some type of crazy KO early in the fight, but yeah, overall, Gutierrez has been getting fucking handed cans. Yeah, so it's time that he takes on like either a solid vet who's maybe already kind of on their way out. I guess you can say feed him to Atiba, or give the guy a great wrestler to see how his ground game looks. You don't need to give him someone like fucking Bo Nickel, jump him all the way up there to like top 5 or anything, but a newer, good wrestler that can test the grappling of Atiba. No one who's going to absolutely grapple fuck him and just completely diminish his star power, but a test nonetheless. We move on. All right. Last one on this prelims, Umar versus Figueiredo. Umar gets the decision. Overall, Figgy has to fucking hang it up. There's no weight discipline with this guy. You're 125, you're dying to make weight all the time. You move up to 135 and you miss weight again. How do you move up 10 pounds and you're still missing weight, brother? I don't get it. Again, I'm not a professional. Who knows? This guy was probably in the sauna and fucking his body just stopped sweating. His fucking body is quitting on him. He can't sweat anymore. He can't lose any more weight. Whatever it may be. Do you have to move up to 145? No. Figgy's fucking tiny. I don't think he could make 145. He's too small. I still do think he's pretty good size, maybe even big for 135. Because he was pretty big at 125 as well. Height-wise, no, but like in his build, the way he walks in the cage, sure. But I just don't know. Figueiredo's got to hang it up soon. A loss like that against Umar isn't terrible, I guess, for Figueiredo, because it is fucking Umar, who was number 6, I think, in the division. So, but yeah, either way, either lock the fuck in and get some discipline in you, or you're getting old too, dude. Hang it up. Hang it up soon. And Figueiredo at 125 was the motherfucker of motherfuckers, was fucking people up. When you think of 125ers, no one ever really thinks of people who are getting cracked and you're seeing crazy KOs. Davis and Figueiredo had the hands of fucking stone that was sleeping people. So, with all due respect to Figueiredo, you got to hang it up soon. But, turning focus onto Umar was also really boring in that fight. definitely need to get some fucking ground and pound together, brother. I think if you're you're in the camp with like a Khabib, with Islam, like these guys, obviously heavier weights than you, but they have great example of some heavy ground and pound. Obviously, aside from Islam's last fight against JDM, but be able to, if you're gonna grapple, be as grapple heavy. Let's get some more excitement out of it, so that you don't look boring like that. You know what I mean? You're not just laying prey on all of these fucking opponents that you're getting. Because to be honest, in my opinion, Umar was probably the biggest loser on this card, and he didn't lose. Maybe not biggest loser. He was the biggest loser who didn't lose. Like, Umar gets the win, but his stock probably drops. He looks boring in there. Definitely, you're not getting the title shot after that. We were talking about this on the last podcast too, where, hey, if Umar gets the win and Sean doesn't, Umar probably gets the title shot against Peter Yan, if obviously they don't give it to Merab. But he gets the win, so does O'Malley. I don't think either of them are ready for a fucking title shot against Peter. I think they probably still give it to Merab based off of both of their performances in their fights. And we'll talk about Sean's fight later too. But yeah, I just, Umar was probably the biggest. He was in there looking like, he wasn't looking like he wanted to win, but he was looking like he was trying not to lose, if that makes sense. There's a difference between trying to win and trying not to lose. Umar was in there trying not to lose. I think he puts a lot of pressure on himself to kind of, because obviously he surrounds himself in fucking champions, with obviously his brother being Usman Nurmagomedov, the champion in PFL, undefeated in PFL. Islam Makhachev, who's the pound for pound champion right now, as well as a champion, 2 division champion. Khabib, never lost, undefeated champion. Then you have Umar, who's like, fuck, he's probably trying to make himself one of these guys. He's probably getting this little brother syndrome of like, guys, I want to play too. But you don't need to put this pressure on yourself, brother. Just fucking go in there, get your wins, not like that, and move on. Be your own person. You don't have to be fucking Khabib. You know what I mean? Who's next for either guy? I don't know. Let's check the rankings. So this is at bantamweight. Umar was number 2. I said he was 6. He's 2 currently. I'm recording this on a Monday. I don't know how the rankings will change by Tuesday. That's what they would say. The rankings are done in by Tuesday. But Davison Figueiredo was 6. My fault. Figueiredo takes the loss. He probably is fighting like Amin Zahabi next. I don't know. Yeah. Whereas Umar is number 2, you would think the only people ahead of him that he could probably be fighting next is like Merab or Peter Yan. But again, based on that performance, I don't think you are deserving of a title shot. So you're not fighting Peter Yan, and Merab probably is. Do you finally just give Umar Sean? I doubt it. I doubt they want to give Umar Sean, because the UFC probably wants Sean to have some bigger fights and not lose any star power, aside from the fucking shit he already did against the Merab fights. So yeah, I think you got to move on. I don't know. I don't know who's next for each guy, but got to go somewhere. Umar, I don't know what you're doing, brother. You're winning, but you're not. All right, we move on. Main event, or main card. Fuck. Sorry, it took a while for me to get here, guys. John Silva decision over Allen. Honestly, it was a banger from the two autistics. Fucking pretty good fight for the most part. Silva had a slow start compared to most of his other fights. He didn't seem like he was as fucking crazy in there, barking and like laughing and always wanting to hug and shake hands and shit. Definitely a slower starter, like I said, compared to his other fights. A lot more calm, no more fucking barking in the middle of his fights and shit. So, good showing. Silva looked good. Arnold Allen honestly looked good too. I don't think Allen loses as much stock here as people want to say. Like, sure, Allen's losing to some of the guys, but when you really look at who he's losing to, Arnold Allen's only lost to, I can verify this, but I want to say he's only lost now to John Silva, Max Holloway, and who else? I know it's in here somewhere. Let's see, featherweight. God dang it. Oh, and Movzar. I want to say those are his only losses. Arnold Allen's losses are John Silva, Movzar, and Max Holloway. Yeah. So the guy's fucking solid. And I mean, this is after almost 2 years off. I think last he fought was July of 24. So after almost 2 years off, the guy still looked pretty fucking good. Hung in there pretty well with John Silva, who's a motherfucker, cracks, was whooping Diego Lopez's ass for the most part until he wasn't. Who is now, Diego Lopez is now about to fight for the title this weekend. And we'll get into that as well. So yeah, Allen still has potential. Keep himself in that top 5 for sure. John Silva was cringy as fuck, holding onto the belt, crying and shit. I get it. You're an emotional guy. Come on, dude. If the belt's not yours, don't touch the belt. You see the fucking Molly McCann when Molly did that thing? She's walking around in the cage holding the belt, saying like, "I'm coming for this. I'm coming." No, where's Molly McCann now? Fighting on fucking boxing on DAZN? Boxing Misfits boxing? Don't touch the fucking belt if it's not your belt. I think that's a curse. That's like the Madden curse, I'm telling you. Who's next for Silva? Let's look at the rankings again. So Silva was 10. Okay. John Silva, number 10. Brian Ortega's already booked at 9. Steve Garcia. Steve Garcia is good at 8, but I just don't think Steve Garcia is going to bring the star power that majority of the UFC is going to look for in an opponent for John Silva. And I probably think he would beat Garcia. Not easily, but he'd beat him. I mean, fuck, do you give him Aljo? Is Aljo booked? I don't think so. Yeah, Aljo's last fight was Ortega. Maybe you give him Aljo. Aljo probably fucking really puts that dog on a leash, if you ask me. We move on. Natalia Silva versus Rose Namajunas. Close one, but correct call, I think, on the decision. A lot of people were talking about how they thought they should have went to Rose. They think that this one, she kind of got robbed. Definitely not robbed. I could see maybe you kind of giving some type of leaning towards Rose, maybe give her 1 and 2, but she definitely lost the 3rd round. She definitely won the 2nd round, lost the 3rd. So it comes down to how you score round 1. Silva's fast as fuck. I mean, if you guys see those kicks, it's insane the way she gets the fucking feet up there that fast. It's insane. That's an example of like in the Rush Hour movie where it's like, which one of y'all kicked me? Like, that's probably how fucking Rose felt in there, because that foot was coming up quick. If you're Rose, you got to go back to Trevor Whitman. I don't know what you're doing with Pat Barry. Pat Barry ain't doing it right now. I know that's your man. I know that's your husband. Fuck, man. I really think Rose was on a good track. Maybe she took a loss here or there with Trevor Whitman out in Denver. But I think her skills have kind of plateaued since she's left there. You got to get into some different gyms. I'm not even sure who she's training with really herself now. I don't think she's even with any team. I don't know how she's doing her training. Obviously, she doesn't have to fucking disclose it. Who cares? But based on what I'm seeing, it's kind of a plateau of all the same shit that we've been seeing previously. So Rose is still a fucking legend in WMMA. First 2-time strawweight champion, going for another title. Almost gets, if she would have beat Silva, probably gets a title shot against Valentina. Yeah, but I mean, Silva probably fights Valentina next, definitely, because I think she was the number 2 ranked. And in my opinion, Valentina probably smokes her in a boring-ass grappling or kickboxing fight. That's where we're sitting now. I'm not sure who's next for Rose, but Silva obviously is probably fighting for the title next. We move on. Derek Lewis versus Waldo Cortez Acosta. Waldo fucking KOs Lewis. Lewis kind of gave up. I think he really just quit. And I think this is something that's pretty common that you'll see out of Derek Lewis, where the guy doesn't seem to have a plan B. Derek Lewis is in there like, yo, I'm going to knock this motherfucker out. And when that doesn't work, he's like, well, fuck. All right, I'm done. I'm out. Yeah, I don't even think really Waldo seemed to be trying at all. And he still looked good. For the most part, Waldo was a lot more cautious. It was a little bit more of a boring fight in the beginning because he didn't want to walk into a stupid haymaker from Derek Lewis. Yeah, Derek's got to get a better game plan there. Derek's still a fucking legend. Balls was hot. How can you not love the guy? He's still like a top 10 gatekeeper. Let him just kind of, he can keep killing all these up and comers on fight night main events. Lewis can lose another like 2-3 in a row, and they're still not going to cut him. The guy's the KO king, for fuck's sake. But yeah, going next for Waldo. I think he probably needs like a bigger test as well. Give him someone that's a higher ranking. He's ready for some more shit there. Like I said, the heavyweights don't seem to have crazy depth. Let's look at the rankings now. Well, Cortez is probably already up there. He's already top 5. Do you give Cortez... Who do you give him? Let's see. Yeah, I mean, he's already beat Spivak, lost to Pavlovich, beat Shamil, beats Lewis. Do you give him like Curtis Blades or something? I don't know. Maybe you give him the Sergey rematch if Sergey's not already booked. Maybe you give him Volkov. Actually, I like that fight. Waldo Cortez versus Volkov. Volkov looked pretty fucking good against Cyril Gane his last fight. And to be honest, I think, or not his last fight, his previous second to last fight. And then he also just beat Gelton Almeida. So yeah, Volkov versus Waldo. I think that's a good fight. Give me the fucking matchmaker job. That's a good fight right there. We move on. Next fight. Co-main event. O'Malley over Song Yadong. All right. So at the time watching the fight, I thought Sean lost split decision here, but I'm not going to die on that hill either. I don't think it was a robbery. It could have been a 2-1 either way. Obviously, with it being a 3-rounder, could have seen 2-1 either way. Songs definitely seemed slower than I expected. I definitely thought he was going to be a lot quicker than what we saw. But overall, the fact that they gave O'Malley the unanimous decision was kind of crazy. I think it should have been split. Unanimous, I argue, for sure. I don't think Sugar should have won unanimously. And this is me being a fucking O'Malley fan. I was wearing the fucking Sugar Sean O'Malley merch when I watched this fight. And as I watched it, I thought he lost. Not gonna die on that hill, though. It was a close fight. I could see maybe you lean towards O'Malley because of the damage. And by damage, I mean just like a bloody nose out of fucking Song Yadong. But for majority of it, I feel like O'Malley was kind of coasting. His stand-up is pretty similar for the most part to what it's been for a long time. I know he definitely kind of took a hit on his footwork, wasn't moving his feet as well because of his damage that he was taking to his legs. Fucking Song Yadong was chopping that leg down pretty heavily, so not as much footwork from O'Malley, and that's probably why you didn't see as much movement. Wasn't really mixing it up as much. Definitely, I thought he needed to. More knees, more mix-ups, more teep kicks, shit like that. But yeah, like I said, I feel like he was kind of coasting in there in the stand-up, doing okay on the ground, getting back to his feet pretty well against a good wrestler in Song Yadong, a fucking strong-ass dude. But yeah, I think his skill just kind of seems to be plateauing lately. It's kind of just the same as what we've seen in a lot of fights, and it gets it done against a lot of guys, but at this next level, O'Malley still wants to get that fucking title back. You gotta improve somewhere, you know what I mean? Give more of a submission threat. I know it's way easier said than done. Submissions are a lot less common, but I don't know. I saw a lot of people online talking about they think O'Malley needs some type of new camp, maybe. Because, I mean, yeah, think about it. Anybody who really follows O'Malley and you see the training camp he comes from, name O'Malley's best training partner. You really can't. I guess they have out in Arizona, they have the MMA lab, but from what I see, it doesn't seem like he's with them that often. And those are some fucking solid bantamweights. You got Kyler Phillips over there, Mario Batista. Who else am I thinking? Who was the other guy that just fought Peter Yan? I'm blanking on the name. I can't. This is going to eat me alive if I don't get this. But yeah, the MMA lab has a lot of good guys over there that could be a good fucking help for O'Malley. Who am I missing? Black dude. I don't know his name. Let's see. He fought Peter Yan before he fought for the title. Oh, Marcus McGee. Yeah, another good training partner for O'Malley that I don't really see him training with that often. These are some good bantamweights. And I mean, the guy's probably been the best person in his room for the past 5 years. And it's the same thing they always say, like, yo, if you're the best person in the room, you need to find a new room. So I think you got to move around, find some new training partners. Merab probably is most likely to get the rematch now over Peter Yan because of that showing out of both Umar and Sugar Sean. Everybody thought one of those two would probably get the title shot next. It's probably going to be Merab now, even though you really look at it, I think Merab lost that fight, maybe one round, but you're going to see that rematch now. Peter Yan went on an interview saying that the UFC promised him an immediate rematch. I don't know if they really fucking thought that until they saw. Because, I mean, you can't tell me if O'Malley went out there and slept Song Yadong bad and got an exciting, badass KO that they don't give him the Peter Yan rematch and give Peter Yan the ability to avenge his loss for the title, maybe even at the fucking White House. You know what I mean? So, neither one of them, Umar or Sean, really deserve a title shot based on that performance, in my opinion. I think it's probably time for the Corey fight. But I've said that for the past year or 2 years when it comes to O'Malley. It's time to fight Corey Sandhagen already. White House, that's sick. I think that would go great. But for Song Yadong, what's next? So he's number 5 currently. I mean, you don't want to give him Figueiredo, because Figueiredo's probably not going to make the fucking weight anyways. Maybe you give him Cheeto. Cheeto's fighting this weekend. Maybe you give him Batista. Song Yadong versus Mario Batista. Have they fought before? I don't think. But, yeah, if I'm the matchmaker, I'm giving O'Malley. I'm making O'Malley versus Corey again, finally. Or not again, but finally making that fight happen. O'Malley, Corey Sandhagen. That's a banger. Fucking book that shit right now. We move on. Main event of the evening, which you guys all probably came here to talk about. Fucking took me a little bit. Justin Gaethje gets the decision over Paddy Pimblett. Paddy looked fucking giant in there, first of all. This dude is huge. Like I said earlier in this fucking podcast, the dude walks around I don't know, I think he said 190, almost 200 pounds, probably peak. But that's not really his in shape weight. That's just his fat fuck weight, which everybody knows Paddy becomes a fat fuck out of training camp. He looked huge in there. I want to say I saw a clip of Paddy in the middle of one of his vlogs, one of his clips, that in the middle of his training camp on fight week, maybe the week before fight week, this guy's fucking vaping. O'Malley said something in one of his little vlogs that he was hanging out with Paddy Pimblett and he saw Paddy just vaping, fucking just taking huge rips of some fucking vape pen or whatever it is that he's on. Pretty wild if true, because you're getting this huge opportunity to fight a legend in Justin Gaethje, interim title, and you're just filling your fucking lungs with this vape shit. I don't think that's good for you in general, let alone at the pinnacle of your sport with the biggest opportunity of your life. Who knows? Maybe the guy's a fucking nicotine fiend and he needs it. But I don't know. That's all hearsay. That's neither here nor there. But definitely still, either way, based on that performance, I think there's still been too much flack on Paddy for his loss. I think his stock still goes up. He shows that he was able to kind of hang in there with a legend like fucking Justin Gaethje. And he's fucking right. Scousers do not get knocked out. Holy shit, that dude has a diamond chin. Both him and Justin, for the most part, had some fucking chins on him. Justin was getting cracked every once in a while. Made me fucking scared every once in a while when he was stepping in. And I know everybody says Justin will take 5 to land 1. And yeah, because that 1 is what's going to land and cause a lot more damage. But the 5 scare me with Justin taking those. You're getting older in weight, dude. You're getting older. You're getting up there in age. You can't be letting yourself getting fucking cracked like that. Especially if your next fight is Ilia Topuria. Because when Ilia Topuria lands, it's not these stupid fucking hammer fists like Paddy's throwing. It's clean, precise fucking javelin throws from the shoulder, down the pipe, sleeping motherfuckers. So Justin, You gotta stop getting hit like that, brother. That head ducking when he fucking ducks his head off to the right, gotta stop. It definitely was something that Max found as well when Justin fought Max. Max is hitting those spinning back fists, and that's what breaks Justin's fucking nose when he dips that head right there. I don't know how more people aren't kneeing this motherfucker in the head. Um, I'm not saying it's easy to do so, but I'm surprised someone hasn't figured that out and like caught him with some crazy uppercuts or some crazy knees or head kicks like that. I don't know. Again, I'm not a martial artist. I've never fucking considered myself to even know 10% of anything about boxing, about stand-up striking. But from a fan's perspective, and again, just a fan's perspective, which doesn't fucking mean much, Justin's gotta get his striking defense together if you're gonna face Ilia Topuria next, because that motherfucker cracks. I'm telling you, Ilya is literally Thanos. He's collecting the stones, and Justin is the Mind Stone. I don't remember which one I said he was last podcast, but Justin is one of those stones. Don't let him collect the stone, Justin. I'm rooting for you, brother. Going back to Patty, though, Patty will be back. This was definitely something. I like Patty. I think he's a really good fucking fighter. He'll be back at this stage. He's still pretty early in his career. The guy is, what, 28? They said 29, 30 maybe. And I was definitely rooting more for Justin because this is like the last hoorah. If Justin lost on Saturday, Justin probably retires, lays them down right there in the cage. Whereas if Patty loses, it's fine. I really think he'll fight for a title again based on what I've seen out of the guy. The guy gets fucking cracked and he still weathers the storm and can get back in there. I mean, at the end of round 2, Patty's getting wailed on and gets fucked up pretty bad, and then comes back and wins round 3. So that was a good fight. And not, a lot of people were talking about, oh, fight of the year, best fight I've ever seen, fucking best fight of all time. What are you talking about? Yes, it was a slobber knocker for the most part. But when it comes to, sure, the slobber knockers are the best fights that people want to see. You know what I mean? They love those fights. But when it comes to like best fight, usually to make it a good fight, you've got to be going back and forth, back and forth. I think Justin won 4 rounds. He probably won rounds 1, 2, 4, and 5. How can you be fight of the year, best fight ever? John Anik said on the commentary, oh, fight of the year candidate. And it's like, dude, you can't be fight of the year if someone won 4 rounds. What are we talking about? Sure, it was a great fucking, very interesting fight. Very fun to watch. If you're just a casual walking by in a bar and you see that on TV, you're going to be like, holy fuck, these guys are beating the shit out of each other. But when you really watch it, no, Justin kind of was in control for majority of that fight. I don't think it wasn't as close as people were saying. Patty definitely went in there way too hyped up, not too hyped up, but way hyped up, very confident. And I think he had like a huge adrenaline dump as the fight went on. You get fucking cracked, you get your nose shattered by Justin Gaethje, you're gonna like find yourself in a world, especially someone like Patty who's really never been there in the UFC. You're gonna find yourself in a world of like, oh fuck, this is not going to plan. How do I get to plan B? You know what I mean? And I don't think he really, aside from round 3, he didn't really find a plan B that well. So, whereas Justin's been there. He was stoic. He was fucking in there, ready to bang, like he'd been there, which he has a bunch of times. I also think Patty kind of had kind of a shitty game plan, if you ask me. Again, I'm nowhere near a head coach, but he didn't even really try grappling until like late round 3 and even in like round 4. But by then it was kind of too late. They're both really sweaty. You're fucking falling off of each other. You're not really getting a good grip on the guy. Plus Patty's probably a lot more drained. His stamina's not there like it once was. And you're trying to grapple against Justin Gaethje, who's hard as fuck to grapple against anyways. Definitely, Gaethje has some of the best wrestling defense in the game. And those shots were shitty. The entry on the shots were terrible. I don't know where you're going there, brother. But yeah, Justin kind of found his best success when he was walking him down, keeping Patty against the cage, because that's where Justin gets a lot of his finishes. When Patty was circling, I think he was doing the best he could, you know. And when Gaethje was even letting off the gas a little bit, is when Patty was able to kind of hold his center of the cage and put a bit more on fucking Justin. But once Justin put pressure back in, like he was saying in the press conference, head in the fucking chest and pressure this guy is when he was getting the most success. The moment Patty's back hit the cage is when Patty was getting fucking cracked. But he circled. Whenever he circled, he fared pretty well. But yeah, overall, great fucking fight. Oh, before I go next, people talk about the eye pokes as well. First eye poke, obviously an eye poke should have been stopped like it was, handled well. You could say they should take a point for the eye pokes, and I guess, yeah, you have an argument there, but take the point. I don't know. A lot of people always talk about the whole eye poke situation being terrible, and it's handled really badly by all the referees in the UFC, and I kind of agree. I don't know if every single eye poke should be a point. I wouldn't be pissed off about it because of all the accidental ones, but there is a lot of guys who are fucking pushing away when they like get into some type of skirmish or some type of like stand and bang little slugfest where they're pushing away, hands up like this, and that's where you get that eye kind of pushing into the eyes, or that finger pushing into the eyes. So I don't know if really just a point for every single eye poke, no matter what, is the answer. I don't know what the answer is. That probably would keep a lot more people from doing that, though. So maybe it is. Maybe just, hey, automatic point deduction for any eye poke in general. But even if you did take the point, I think, yeah, like I said, Justin won 4 rounds, in my opinion. So you take the point and he wins 3 rounds. He still wins 3-2. And then the second eye poke, people were talking about, oh, that's fucked up because Justin poked him in the eye. He poked him in the eye and he dropped him, and that caused a lot of damage to Patty that he shouldn't have got. It was unnecessary damage because the fight should have been stopped right there real quick to give him the opportunity. I don't really think that was an eye poke. It was more of an example of like, it was a punch, whereas the punch landed and the thumb kind of grazed into the eye, but it's not like, if you make a fist right now, like for all the people listening, it's not like he had a fist out with the thumb extended. His fist was in there and it just happened to catch the right eye of Patty. Kind of the same way when Davison Figueiredo fought Brandon Moreno. Moreno throws a right hook, left hook, I forget, and catches the eye of Figueiredo, and it kind of cut him. And they ended up ending that fight, calling that fight because of it. But it wasn't like an intentional eye poke at all. I don't think Moreno did anything wrong the same way I don't think Justin did anything wrong. It's not like he was extending with his fingers out like fucking John Jones, looking to impregnate his eyes with his penis fingers. But the punch lands, catch the finger, happens. Sadly. I don't think that was an eye poke that should have stopped the fight, really. It just happened to happen that way. It's like, I don't know. I was going to make a reference or kind of compare it to something else, but I blanked. I used to be faster. Whatever. Either way, based on the performance, Ilias probably smokes both these guys, sadly. I think if Justin fights Ilya next, which he should be, assuming Ilya's back by like April, like he said, which obviously Justin won't fight by April, but like White House, if Justin fights Ilya at the White House, Justin's got to make some changes. You're letting yourself get hit too much, whereas you can't afford to be hit by a guy like Ilia Topuria as heavily. Ilya is a smaller guy for sure, so Justin can kind of use his size against Ilya. Maybe he has that whenever they're getting into like almost like clinching boxing, where like dirty boxing, where Justin will kind of hold the head down as he throws uppercuts, shit like that. Maybe you can do that against somebody who like Ilya, who's a little shorter. But is that going to do it all? No. I think more leg kicks are definitely needed when it comes to fighting Ilya. You didn't see that many leg kicks at all from Justin, and a lot of people were talking about that too. Like, where the fuck were the leg kicks? Why wasn't he leg kicking? Whereas he was probably getting his legs kicked more than he was kicking Patty's. And Justin talked about it in a post-fight press conference where he said that he wasn't kicking legs as often as he used to. I don't think he actually even threw a leg kick until like round 3 or 4. But he said because based off of his last fight against Fiziev was able to take him down on catching leg kicks and kicks in general. So he was like, fuck that. I'm not going to let a guy like Patty take me down with those kicks, so I'm not kicking at all. Whereas I think when you face a guy like Ilya, you got to chop at the legs a little bit more. I don't think there's much of a grappling as much of a grappling fear out of Ilya. Not to say that Ilya is not a good grappler. He will grapple, but he's not as offensively going to grapple and like probably look to catch leg kicks the same way. I mean, maybe he watches that Fiziev tape the same way and kind of takes a page out of Fiziev's book and goes into grappling against, or offensive grappling against Justin, but I doubt it. I don't think you're really going to have to fear much of takedown attempts from Ilya for the most part. When you ever watch any of Ilya's fights, the only times he's really ever on the ground much, and not every time, but majority of his fights, when he's on the ground, it's because someone shot on him. And then he usually fucking dominates on the ground. Example, Bryce Mitchell, you know what I mean? But either way, Justin's got to fucking hone it in. We gotta see this. If you're gonna be the guy, what's the stat that John Anik said? 16 have tried, 16 have failed. Now it's 17. Fuck, man. We need this, Justin. I need you because if you're Justin Gaethje, you've done everything there is in the game. You're already in Hall of Fame for sure. Obviously not literally, but you're a Hall of Famer, Justin. You're a BMF title holder, 2-time interim title holder. You've beat fucking legends like Tony Ferguson. You look at Justin Gaethje's like record, all of the resume of everybody he's fought, and obviously lost to too. But fuck, this guy might have one of the craziest resumes of all time. Ilia Topuria, that's what you got left. I think if Justin wins this, he's done. If he loses, he's done. Fuck, I don't know. If he wins it, he might stay. But this is the last thing Justin needs, is that fucking undisputed title around his waist. So praying it gets done. I'm really hoping so. What's next for Paddy, though? That's what I said. Fuck, I got on a big tangent there. Let's see. So Paddy was in the rankings. Where was he at? If I were to go, let's go lightweight. Paddy is number 5, which is pretty crazy because I'm pretty sure Paddy Pimblett was like ranked number 10 before his last fight, and then literally sneaks into top 5 without even doing anything. Didn't even beat anybody since then, and still got into top 5. Dan Hooker fights this weekend. I'm going to get into UFC 325 a little bit as well. But if Dan Hooker can get this win, fuck, maybe even if Dan Hooker gets this loses, Paddy might get that fight. I think Paddy versus Dan Hooker kind of has what everybody's been talking about on the internet, of them talking shit to each other. Paddy saying he couldn't fucking grapple a rapist off his mother, which is fucked. Dan Hooker saying that he's a bad friend because Paddy's friend killed himself, which is fucked. The story writes itself. Paddy Pimblett versus Dan Hooker, maybe. But at the same time, I feel like whenever you see shit like that, whenever there's like a backstory behind guys fighting, very rarely do those fights ever get booked. Like you see Leon Edwards versus Jorge Masvidal, the whole 2-piece and a biscuit in the back. They fight in the back, behind the stage or whatever. That fight never gets booked. You see Armin and who was it? Armin and Paddy, I think, had like some backstage interaction, kind of fucking with each other. That fight's still not been booked. Obviously, yeah, because Armin's looking for a title shot, whatever. Fucking, I haven't even talked about Armin at all. If Ilya's not back in time, Armin should fight Justin, which sucks because then that would mean Justin's probably defending his interim title, which I think is gay. No one should ever have to defend an interim title. But if Ilya's out for longer than whatever, maybe they just strip Ilya, upgrade Justin to undisputed, kind of the same way they did to Tom Aspinall when John Jones left. And then obviously, yeah, he would fight and defend the undisputed against Armin. But Paddy, I don't know who you get next. Max Holloway's booked already against Charles. Paddy probably fights down, maybe takes on like a Gamrot. Moicano's booked, Fiziev's booked. Maybe Beneil? Did Paddy fight Beneil already? I don't think so, did he? No, he didn't. Paddy versus Beneil, who's a vet. But also, it wouldn't look good for Paddy because the guys he's been fighting are on fucking losing streaks, and Beneil is also another person who's on a losing streak. So maybe that's not the best thing for him. I don't know. I don't know what's next for Paddy. We move on. UFC 325 this weekend. Fucking crazy. It's already They're back-to-back. I was really hyped today because I turned on some YouTube to watch a bunch of post-fight press conferences, and there was all of these people talking about their fight reactions and shit. And then first thing that pops up already is UFC 325 Embedded Episode 1. And I was like, oh, fuck, I forgot this is already again. Like, I'm not even done talking about UFC 324. They're already giving me embeddeds for UFC 325. Let's fucking go. So let's run through this as well. This has been kind of a longer span of me going into some shit. We're just going to break down just the main card because this has been going kind of crazy. I've been getting a little bit too in-depth. I hope you guys appreciate this in-depth, a little bit more study behind my shit rather than just talk about, this guy's trash, he's going to win, fuck no, he's good, which those are fun too. I love those. But we move on. Tai Tuivasa versus Talison Teixeira. Tai's coming off of a fucking long timeout. I don't even remember the last time Tai fought. I think it was Volkov, and Volkov fucked him up. For the most part, I think this is a good chance for Teixeira to kind of get a second attempt of what he was trying to do against Derek Lewis. Because he's still coming off of that KO from Derek Lewis on that main event card, which is what I said earlier. Just keep giving Derek Lewis just random up-and-comers, and he'll fucking knock them out on some fight night headliners. But yeah, Tai's coming off a long time. If ever you guys saw Tai in the media, the dude was huge. I think he's lost a lot of weight already, but the guy was probably looking at plus like 320, 330. Fucking heavy boy. But Tai Tuivasa is kind of another example of Derek Lewis, I think. Not much there besides, hey, let's sleep a motherfucker. And it works for the most part. He's fun. Doing the shoeies, which is equal to my balls is hot, knocking people out. Not the knockout king, but Tai's definitely not the person, like I was saying, though, with Derek Lewis, where Derek can lose fucking 5 in a row and you're still going to be excited to watch him sleep somebody, or at least get the opportunity to do so. If Tai loses this one, you're probably starting to look at like, yo, where do we keep this guy? I don't know. Either way, if I had to guess, with all that being said, fuck it, Tai Tuivasa by KO, let's go. Fiziev versus Rufi. This is a good fight. I think these next two fights actually have a good potential of being some fucking bangers. It just depends. I really think that Rufi looked really shitty against BSD in his last fight. He kind of just quit. He lost a lot of stock and a lot of kind of like notoriety in the person that people believed he was, being like a fighting nerd. And don't get me wrong, I'm one of the biggest fighting nerd fans, but the guys have had some tough losses lately. But yeah, I just really think that Rufi looked pretty bad against BSD. Really just gave up. Fiziev kind of laid the blueprint. Fiziev kind of saw the blueprint. Jesus fucking H. Fiziev saw the blueprint get laid on Rufi when Rufi fought BSD. Kind of just got grappled like a motherfucker. BSD showed the way to kind of break through that. We kind of saw that there's not as much grappling in that guy as you'd assume. So I would not be surprised to see a grapple-heavy game plan come from Fiziev. Probably see Fiziev by decision or a submission. Rufi's slick, sick, great striking. Is it enough to get the job done against Fiziev? I don't know. I'd probably say Fiziev decision. Hooker versus BSD. Again, quick turnaround out of Hooker, who just lost versus Arman. I also think that Benoit Saint Denis also kind of just saw the blueprint that was laid on Hooker when Hooker fought Arman. It was a lot more grapple heavy from Arman, was able to get the submission. That was pretty solid. If they get into a big-ass stand and bang fight, I think that's going to favor Hooker for the most part. But it could be a banger if BSD is okay with playing that game of, fuck it, let's just stand and bang, kind of the same way he did with Dustin, where obviously Dustin fucking clipped him. But Benoit landed a lot of good shit of his own, and Benoit Saint Denis cracks. We saw it against, why am I blanking on names again? Benil, when Benoit Saint Denis fought Benil, lays that motherfucker out quick, has some real power in his hands. Hooker can get clipped. I don't know what his chin's looking like these days. The last time I've seen his chin really tested was Michael Chandler. I don't know. I think it'd be expected of another grapple heavy game plan. If Saint Denis is smart, he probably goes a lot more grapple heavy game plan against Hooker. If it gets into a big ass stand and bang slugfest, that's sick too. And that one I think could be a coin flip, because you don't count Dan Hooker out of a fist fight. But with that being said, probably Saint Denis by sub or decision. The same way Armin kind of just laid that, like I said. Volk versus Diego Lopez. This is tough, guys. I really think Lopez is going to have to stop respecting Volk as much as he was. I really think he kind of froze in there. He probably got in there and was like, yo, like that's fucking Alexander Volkanovski across from me. And he wasn't able to show the type of shit that he usually shows in a lot of his showings. Showings. Fuck, I said that like 9 times. Say that 3 times fast. But yeah, Lopez is really going to have to stop respecting Volk, stand up, be able to take a lot more chances. You have to. You're the younger guy. You're the challenger. You know, you got to beat the champ to be the champ. I think Volk knows that he can handle the power of Lopez now that he's felt that. He's fought Lopez, and I think he was a little bit more cautious, smartly so, in addressing the power that Diego Lopez has. But Volk's the vet. He's kind of looked great in his previous rematches, as he kind of figures the fighters out, hence like the Max Holloway fights. Some people say that Max beat him the second time. It was definitely closer, but by the third time, you saw that Volk made some real fucking improvements and figured Max out and dog walked him in that third fight. Yeah, Volk figures people out, I really think, as fights go on. I mean, except like Islam, he takes that rematch against Islam on 10 days notice, which doesn't count when you really think about he didn't have any type of camp at all. But Volk likes to usually be a lot more volume heavy, power heavy, and push the pace. But I don't think he'll be as much heavy pressure here based on what he saw out of the Lopez versus Silva fight. Lopez was kind of getting backed up pretty heavily by John Silva, and yet it was working really well. And then he saw that aggression kind of turn against him, against John Silva, and John Silva gets fucking slept because of it. The same way Aaron Pico fights against Lerone Murphy. Lerone Murphy is letting himself get backed up. Aaron Pico's being really aggressive, pushing the pace, fucking him up, and then he's not. Basically, those fights were kind of the same. Both ended with spinning back elbows to the guy who was winning, arguably winning that fight, and gets slept pretty fucking bad. I think Volk's a vet. I'm pretty sure I picked Lopez first when I talked about this fight getting booked. But it's very likely going to be a similar fight, and I think Volk wins the bigger decision. I think this is probably Volk's first, not first, but this is his biggest fight against Father Time. And everybody says Father Time's undefeated. Is this the fight against Father Time? Is his next one? Does Volk go out on top? Who knows? If I had to bet, I'm going Volk decision. He probably gets the job done. The guy's a vet. He's seen Lopez. He's been in there with him. I think he's going to have the ability to adapt and stretch it out as to where he wants the game to be played and how he wants this fight to go, and show his dominance on why the fuck he's one of the greatest featherweights of all time and the current champion. So, yeah, that's UFC 325 for me, guys. Good breakdown today. Again, thank you guys, everybody, for listening. Let me know what you think. If you prefer this in-depth, me kind of reading from some notes that I've taken on a lot of shit, fucking show you. I'm just going through a lot of fights, notes. This fucking scrolls. So let me know what you think. I enjoyed kind of taking a lot of notes on some fights, rewatching some old shit, listening to some insights on other people, taking the opinions of those and kind of twisting that with my own. Let me know what you think of shit like that. Or if you prefer me to rather not do any of that and just be like, nah, that guy sucks. He's fucking trash. This guy wins by KO. Because those are also fun too. I'll love doing that just as much. But I enjoy this. This is where you get, I think, some real insight and kind of get a good idea of how the fight's going to go. And who knows? I might not know shit. I might be completely wrong on every single one of those fights that I was just talking for UFC 325. But you tell me. We'll find out this weekend. You'll find out probably on the next episode of the Probably Bullshit podcast. We're out. Go Broncos.